Hello and welcome to another Sea Red UK Bulls Blitz, where it's simply a Chicago Bulls thing. Just want to talk a little bit about last night's game. Matt is still preoccupied, but hopefully, like I say, we'll be back in for next week for a full pod. Chicago Bulls took on the Memphis Grizzlies last night in the Summer League. It was unfortunately a loss. They went down 80-87. They looked okay during the second and the third and kind of towards the back end of the first. Unfortunately, though, Memphis just had a little bit too much in the bag, and they were able to come out with the win in the fourth quarter. It was a bit of a case of the Bulls just didn't have quite enough. Memphis are quite an experienced team for a summer league team, and they have players that are just a little bit too much for the Bulls at this stage, unfortunately. Now, before I go into anything else, there's something I should touch on that I actually meant to mention in my last Blitz and didn't think to say it actually, which was the Julian Phillips situation. We all expected him to play in game one. He didn't suit up for game one. In case you're wondering why, at this stage, it's probably fairly common knowledge, but there was some sort of a complication with signing his contract, which you would think would be something that they would have kind of nailed in time for the Summer League, but whether it was red tape or whether there was, some final things that they needed to sort out, I don't know. But they didn't get it done in time, so he couldn't play in game one. Thankfully, they got it done in time for game two, but it was fairly late doors, so he wasn't named as a starter. However, he did come into the game. Unfortunately, when he did come in, he didn't make enough of an impact, for me anyway. He struggled a little bit. He looked a bit kind of off, a little bit rusty. Let's see what he brings as he goes forward. He might need a game or two to settle in. Possibly, maybe wasn't even expecting to play in this game. And got a last-minute call-up once the contract stuff was all sorted out. To go on to other players then, DT, much better game. He didn't start off as chaotic as he did in game one. He kind of carried over from the way he settled into game one as it went on and took that through into game two. He looked a lot better. His handles are still looking a little loose, but his shot looked a lot smoother. He seemed to read the game a little bit better. He was playing at that slightly slower pace, which stood to him. He was good on the defensive end. He was distributing the ball well. I was overly quite impressed with DT, and hopefully this is a sign of how it's going to go as it moves forward, because we all have quite high hopes for this kid. I mean, he's energetic. He really does inject the team with that feeling of fun and enjoyment for the game, love for the game. And he's just a really likable kid. I really want to see him do well, hopefully for both the Bulls and because I just like the guy. But the big standout for the game, he was a big player in game one. He was an even bigger player in game two, and that was our guy, Javon Freeman-Liberty. We really, really like this guy in Sea Red UK. I know I've said that a few times, but we really do. We liked him last year in Summer League. His 2A was waived, and then he went to the Windy City Bulls, and again he impressed in Windy City Bulls. He's impressing no end in the Summer League so far in the first two games. He got voted the player of the game on our live thread. He had a solid turnout. He carried the ball a bit, so it wasn't always in Dalen's hands. Passed well, moved well, shot well, defended well. Everything he did, everything he touched, he did it quite well last night in the game. So I was rather impressed with that. There was even a timeout at the end of the game. It was the last timeout for the Bulls. And to be perfectly honest with you, the game was over. The game was done, but still Bryant drew up a play. The ball ended up in Javon Freeman-Liberty's hands in the corner for a corner three, which he kind of caught on the move, popped it and hit it. And it was just a real smooth play, worked well, and he made the shot. And coming from watching the Bulls games last season, a lot of the players coming out of timeouts didn't play well. They didn't go well. I'm not going to get into whether that was Billy's fault, players' faults, or anything like that right now. But it was good to see a play being set out of the timeout and it being executed and executed well. On to Justin Lewis. Justin Lewis, this poor kid. He's not getting the luck, is he? So as we know, out all last season with an ACL injury. So we were looking forward to seeing what he could do, because he really impressed in Summer League last year, got himself a contract with the Bulls, and then unfortunately had to be let go on the basis of the injury, and they knew he wasn't going to play. But they gave him the usage of all the Bulls facilities and medical staff and everything like that, which was really good to see. They obviously see something in this kid. And he was out there not very long last night, and he rolled his ankle and ended up having to come off for the remainder of the game. Now, the big concern for me here is, okay, first and foremost, it probably means he's going to miss a game or two, if not the rest of the Summer League, which is not what you want. This is his chance to shine, prove himself, and earn himself that position back in with the Bulls. But the bigger issue for me was, I don't know if it was been told it is just an ankle injury. And this may have been from habit or fear, but when he was sitting on the sideline before he exited and went back to the locker room, he was holding his knee. I just hope it's not been like a byproduct of the ankle injury. Maybe he's got radial pain in the knee, and that's all. I hope that's all, because I really want to see what this kid can do. I think he could be a player moving forward, but he's just not having the luck of the draw in regards to injuries so far. Santos, who really impressed in game one, wasn't really in game two that much. So there's not really too much to say about him. I know he was someone that was quite exciting in game one. I was looking forward to seeing a bit more of him in game two, but it just didn't really materialise. Sanogo, for me, it's a no-go. He's just not the player we were hoping he was going to be so far. Hopefully he'll prove me wrong. I want him to prove me wrong. But at the moment, he's just not cutting it for me. I mean, if he's not cutting it at Summer League level, he certainly isn't going to cut it yet at NBA level. And that's not to say he won't get there, but at the moment for me, he's not even close. I preferred Porter both in game one and in game two. I think he's playing a better game than Sanogo. He's a big guy too. He's shot threes. He's moving well. He's moving his feet well on defense, and just doing an overly better job than Sanogo. Now, don't get me wrong, Sanogo's a big guy and he's able to move for his size. He was actually muscling around a little bit in the paint, which was good to see, but his handles, his finishing, his shooting, none of it's impressing me so far anyway. And Darlin was there too, not as impressive as he was in game one. Game two just did not quite have the same impact as he did in game one, but that's not to say that won't come as Summer League progresses. But overall, look, it's a loss, but it is Summer League. This is just a chance for players to shine and prove themselves. Still looking a little rough around the edges. Certainly there's one or two players that are looking rough around the edges, and they're already kind of beginning to show their hand in regards to whether or not they are going to be a bit of a one and done with the Summer League with the Bulls, or whether they may earn themselves Windy City Bulls numbers and minutes, or whether or not they'll actually end up in a position to get a roster spot or a two-way with the Bulls. We'll keep watching it. We'll keep an eye on things. We'll see how it all pans out. And on the next one, I'm going to talk a little bit about, hopefully I'll have Matt back and we'll be able to talk about it together. And talk a little bit about this new in-season tournament that has just been announced. We'll explain a little bit about how that's going to work. We'll talk a little bit how it affects things, what we think of it. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? But I'm not going to get into any of that right now. We'll save that for the next pod. In the meantime, we've got a couple of days off before the Bulls play again. I believe the next game is a 3 a.m. tip. So back to the usual middle of the night game for us here in the UK and Ireland. So yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, I'm living in Ireland, Matt's living in England. So we cover the board in this part of the world, but we're open to talking to everybody about the game, of course. So check us out. Go and find us on all the socials. Matt, myself, C-Red UK are all there on Twitter. You'll also find us on Facebook if you want to join in any of the live threads. Become a member of the group. We've always got the live threads on during the games. We have a little bit of banter back and forth. It's a bit of fun. You'll also find us on creduk.com where we have our blogs. We should have some new blogs popping up soon enough. And the weekly bulletin also goes in there from Matt. In the meantime, keep watching, keep following us, give us the thumbs up, give us the 5-star reviews wherever you listen. And remember, see red, people.